I was first introduced to Ari Aster, obviously, with Hereditary. I mean, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his name or anything because, like, his debut feature. But it definitely left an impression on me. I had seen The Strange Thing with the Johnsons as well, like at a party. And it was really crazy short film that I haven't really seen something like that before. I liked it. I know Jake doesn't like the Johnsons. But I liked it.
It's off-putting, dude. It's like you're not really supposed to like it because it's uncomfortable, dude.
It's more so the content of the movie just felt unnecessary.
Yeah.
And just bizarre. It's undeniably well constructed and acted and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely like engaging and makes you like feel a type of way. But I was saying with that, I didn't know like it was the same director.
Right.
And then I think a year later, Jack and I went to go see Midsommar in theaters. And then that also made an impression on me because just how crazy it was and stuff. And then that's when Ari Aster kind of became like sort of a household name for us like film junkie motherfuckers out here.
Yeah.
You know? And then I was like really looking forward to his next film, whenever that would have come out, which was Beau is Afraid, almost 4 years after his last movie. I saw Beau is Afraid the first day it came out in LA. Like, I was like one of the first people to see it because when I wrote my review on Letterboxd, it only had like 300 reviews on it and shit.
Damn.
And yeah, so I went to go see that. And crazy ass movie. What do you guys want to see?
Did you see it yet?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it last night.
You're pretty fresh in your brain. I mean, coming off of Midsommar is a movie I don't like very much, so my expectations were pretty mixed, I guess, because the trailers really sold me on this movie. It is a crazy movie. I think it's really great, though. I think it's very, like we were saying with Satyricon, just incredibly ambitious, and like the definition of like, how did this get made? How did a studio like A24 fund a movie like this? And it's clear, like he had 2 pretty big hits in a row.
Yeah, Hereditary, I want to say Hereditary is like one of the scariest movies I've like ever seen. And when I first saw that movie, it had like an impact afterwards, especially like at night when like I'm in my apartment and stuff. And there's this terrifying shot in the movie in Hereditary when she sees like her dead mom like standing there in the dark.
Yeah.
Which is a very real thing because sometimes you do like your eyes will like make out figures in the dark, and I think it's maybe like a survival thing or something that we have just evolutionary biologically that we like see threats in the dark and we make out faces or whatever. But like that, anytime I was like in the dark in my apartment, I feel like I was gonna see that like old grandma like standing there and shit. Kind of gave me like a little bit like It Follows also was
It Follows is another like good art house horror movie.
Yeah,
I love that one too.
We watched Hereditary last Halloween with your brother, and he had been wanting to watch it for a while, and he was like definitely pumping himself up. He's like I've heard so much shit about this movie. Like he's like getting ready for it, and yeah, it's fucking terrifying. I was glad I was watching it with people again, because that movie fucking scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I don't know I've never watched it by myself, and I feel like it would take on a whole new level of terror. And then like what you were saying about how he portrayed the old lady in that movie, and how it's like it kind of preys on an instinctual fear of like survival mode. Like I felt like in Beau is Afraid, there's a lot of really abstract ideas he put on screen in terms of like anxiety and like how your psyche and how like you kind of deal with it and how you perceive the world. So like that's the best thing I've always thought about Ari Aster is how he takes very abstract concepts and puts them onto screen, like very taboo and very visceral thing. I feel like he's made his name off just being like a very visceral and reactive filmmaker, and like people love just reacting to his movies and see what crazy concept is he gonna try next. And Beau is like his craziest movie to me by far.
Yeah, definitely his craziest movie. And then with Midsommar, I saw it twice in theaters. I saw it I liked it a lot, and I saw it with Jack, and then I saw it again like with this girl at the ArcLight in Hollywood, and I got an HJ in the car afterwards.
Nice.
Maybe that's why they shut down, because they saw these guys getting hand jobs in the fucking the parking lot.
Yeah.
Beau is Afraid is definitely one of those films where you're not going to start out with Beau is Afraid for your first movie. Like you got to have a couple of bangers under your belt before they like give you the opportunity to just make this carte blanche art house, whatever the fuck you want to do type movie, which is definitely what this movie is. And same with like I got that feeling with Babylon as well, directed by Damien Chazelle. Like that was like his like big swing type movie. And in my Letterboxd review, I wrote that we live in the ADHD Arthouse era.
Yeah, with like everything everywhere.
With this movie and everything everywhere, and then kind of like Babylon was definitely like a little bit like ADHD.
Big ADD movie.
Yeah, and we're getting like these big epic ADHD A24 pictures. But yeah, Beau's Afraid, I definitely was a standout picture I've seen this year. Even though we're still early in the year, but now we're getting more movies and shit. First of all, I think it's too long. Like, I thought it was very, like, the last third was kind of, like, a little bit of, I was kind of, like, drudging along and stuff, and it was maybe a little bit too pretentious and shit going on, but the first second third was, like, really, like, engaging and stuff.
I think everything leading up to the woods segment with the, you know, kind of animation flashback, I think is, like, almost perfect in terms of, like, maintaining the tone and, like, a really clear intention. I think after, like, the whole stage performance, mock performance, like, his life and all that shit, it goes a little down like at the rabbit hole of like mommy issues and a very whiny tone towards the third act. I don't know, I feel like other people don't have that problem because it is so well acted and it kind of hits home more of the things that Beau was dealing with and stuff like that. And of course the very end is like pretty breathtaking, and like that whole he's goes on that boat like out into the middle of the water, and it kind of transitions into like this
Truman Show.
Yeah, it's like it gets very meta. Yeah. And very literal with the kind of metaphors that was introduced earlier. So
if we were going to describe perhaps like what this movie was about or like what the premise was, what would you say?
I think it's an adventure movie on paper, but it's more just so internal. Like everything that happens to him, I feel like could be interpreted like as real or as just his psyche running wild and his kind of trauma and anxiety creeping into everyday situations. So
yeah, but the premise is about like a middle-aged guy who he's kind of like a loser type character living in this shitty squalor apartment. Where is he anyway in the movie? Do we know?
Just some city.
Just some random city, and it takes place in this sort of alternative reality present where just a bunch of wacky shit is going on, and it's like indescribable like what the world is like, and all I know is it's very like surrealist, absurdist thing. Basically he gets a call about like his mother dying, and it's like his journey to go visit his mother to like kind of take care of like the funeral or whatever. Yeah. That's like the premise of the movie, and then everything in between that is just a bunch of like batshit crazy like nonstop. And he's just like very, very unlucky, but also he's like just kind of like a little bit this wimpy feel bad for me character.
Yeah,
the whole
he's
time.
A very frail man. Yeah, he's quite literally the whole movie he's taking it up the ass by every situation.
Yeah. And it's very uncomfortable and very anxiety-inducing, which is Ari Aster's kind of forte. And he loves to deal with themes of grief in all of his movies. It's always like something to do with someone dying and like them finding out about it in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
And like we're seeing their initial reaction. It's like unbelievable for them. It's like very, very uncomfortable.
It's very,
sometimes.
yeah.
Let me say, all right, this might be my favorite Ari Aster movie.
I was going to say the same, yeah.
The world building right off the bat is amazing. The city he's able to create with all like the little characters, all the like wildness that's in the city, and like just like his surreal commentary on it, I love right off the bat.
Me too.
It's a comedy, first of all. It's a comedy when he's like used to horror, but it's comedy in like a very clever way, and it really hits. I didn't know that he could like deliver comedy like that. He always deals with grief, and he always deals with mothers. Just like the anxiety is like totally like turned up to the max in this. Maybe not as much as like Midsummer, where it's like literally all about grief, but it is very much like Beau's anxiety through the audience. You're like, dude, he's not doing anything wrong, and everyone's always telling him, it's your fucking fault, Beau, like you're the problem, and he's like just trying to get by,
Yeah.
And that, like, when you project yourself into that character as an audience, like you kind of feel that, like when you're passive in life, and like we've all done it, and like something's like happened to us, and it's like suddenly we're at fault for like being passive. I love this movie, dude. Just the ending too really sticks with me. Like the empty stadium with the boat flipped over and like the noise. Like I just love that. I was like, that was a perfect cap off. Some people say it drags on in like the third act, but I felt like I was invested enough for it to drag on.
Sure.
At that point. you know?
Yeah, I feel that too. But like the third act, especially like the scene we're talking about with the boat, that's where it felt like there's many times in this movie where it feels like a literal nightmare, like anxiety dream that you've had, or like the worst possible scenario where things have just gone completely spiraled out of control, and he's literally being judged on like these minuscule things he did in his life, to the point where, like, spoiler alert, he probably he dies because like he's like, or like set into purgatory or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is so bizarre, but so like, you know, if you deal with anxiety of any kind or any sort of mental like constraints in your life, like you feel that that kind of pressure that he's under, and like really, again, like very small things with his mother that are just heightened to like a million. You know, it's just so crazy.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about the beginning too in this city when it's just everything's just so heightened and just turned up to 11. And he's being chased by like the guy who's like always touches the soup and stuff and just like, oh, it's too hot and stuff like that. And there's the killer he sees on TV is like right outside. The cop is gonna shoot him, and it leads to him getting hit by a car. Like all that stuff is so well orchestrated. It's so funny. It reminded me of like, it's like he's playing with stuff like from Jacques Tati movies or Roy Anderson. Where it's this really heightened reality.
And very Roy Anderson,
yeah. And it's very Charlie
Kaufman-esque. Even that, like, the set pieces of that movie reminded me of, like, Synecdoche, New York or something like that.
Yeah, I could see Synecdoche, New York, and then I'm thinking of Ending Things. And also Anomalisa.
It's, like, so much like John Malkovich, too. Just, like, that, like, final act, like, the reveal of, like, how involved everyone is, like, in his life. And, like, it was wild. Yeah, definitely, like, with anxiety, too. You feel like, oh, man, like, you get in your head so much. You're like, was I weird there? Did people hate me? Blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, like, I felt that.
And there's a lot of scenes in this where, a lot of parts in this movie where he either gets hit by something or, like, struck by something and then it fades to black and you, like, start a new sequence. Or, like, there's always, like, something that builds up and then he gets hit by a car and fade to black, or his body falls and it's, like, fade to black. Like, that happens, like, at least, like, 3 times.
It does. It's like a narrative tool to, like, push you to the next bizarre thing. And we were talking, I think, about the smoking scene. The daughter of the family that takes him in, and they like, oh, we're gonna take you home, like, come with us. And he's like, he's battered up. He's like, he's like straight out of a hospital, basically. And they start smoking like weed or something, like some sort of.
It's like LSD.
Yeah. But like in terms of the story, like you perceive it as weed, but in his mind it might be like, oh my god, they're smoking PCP or something, like angel dust. And he takes a hit and just completely. It's like if you've ever been too high in your life.
Yeah, if you're ever too high and someone's like filming you.
And
so
the girl
anxious when the girls are like filming him and she's just like the teenagers are like filming like everything, which is. Also, like, kind of a commentary of, like, today and stuff.
There are a lot of commentaries in this movie.
This is definitely, I think this movie does hit the zeitgeist of our time.
It does.
Which is nice to see. Like, I like to see movies about our time, you know? 'Cause I think as soon as people don't make movies about our time, that's when, like, movies will, like, be irrelevant.
I hope that never happens, because this movie, as abstract as it is, it's like covering a lot of different things that we're worried about, like
mental illness, right, and like anxiety, living,
just being a shut-in, like the COVID pandemic, being a shut-in, like he feels that like impending doom around him like all the time, and just being constantly, and like the girl in that movie, the girl who drinks the paint, it's like that that angsty, the new generation who just like is so erratic and crazy. And like they're so emotionally disturbed and stuff, and like how they feel like everything is heightened to a million, just kind of like BEAU, which is like everything matters so much in the mud. She drinks the entire thing of paint. And she's so crazy.
Like when he comes into her house, she starts to feel like the attention that her parents are giving her like goes away, and then she's like feels threatened by that. Too.
That family's so funny,
dude.
The
Nathan Lane is so funny.
Dad's like, hey bud, how you doing, dude?
He calls him like, hey, butter. I forgot what he called my dude. We'll get you better by tomorrow. He's just like, it's this creepy, like eerie feeling you get from them. It's so off-putting.
I like during dinner where they have the pills and like, ooh. Is it dessert already? Like puts pills.
Right. The sort of intergenerational thing with him as a young kid. And like that kid like looks like he's CGI.
I know, the makeup's bizarre on
that. The makeup is really bizarre, but in real life he looks like that. But like in the movie, he looks like it's like not a real character. Like it's a formation of like some AI generated.
It did.
Joaquin Phoenix young type kid, but it's actually just like a real kid. But the movie.
I know everyone
looks
tells
like,
me that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. It's so true though.
But so I guess his father is like a penis in the attic.
Yeah, essentially that's what we were shown. But who knows? Like, I love the whole like idea though, like the whole underlying like fear he has of like, if I have sex.
Yeah.
And I bust a nut, I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
that was like so funny to me.
And that happens, but that happens to Parker
Posey.
Yeah.
My theory of the movie, I thought it was gonna end with him dying of orgasm, and like that's the one bit of relief he has, and like the one thing he can control in his life was to finally have sex. Yeah. I thought it would have been so crazy if he died, and just like that's how the movie ended. I was like, wow, if that movie goes here. And about the penis in the attic, I always found that as like he was so terrified of ever, anything sexual or phallic, like using his penis for anything. And I feel like that in the attic was like his trauma he was kind of burying away, and it was the association we had with his dad. Was like his dad died from having sex. And penetrating someone until he died, and I feel like that the dick symbolizes a lot of things that he buries deep in his psyche, as bizarre as it is. And the assassin guy that lived with the family comes in and just like fucking attacks the penis with the
just right in his head, dude.
Yeah,
oh, God. Yeah. I definitely got like being John Malkovich like vibes from it when it's like they go in the attic and there's like another like skinny beau.
Right.
In the corner and stuff. And it's like he was cloned. And just like, got like vibes of like, she runs this huge company. We don't know what this company is, but we see she's involved in like every aspect of Beau's life. Like she's very hands-on.
Yeah, it gets really Kaufman-esque there too, because it's like life being more portrayed as like a corporation that like kind of has its hands on everything and like kind of manipulates every situation, which is all like internal kind of buffoonery that doesn't exist, but it's like, what if it did? And it kind of like it makes for a really surreal aspect of this movie too.
And then like a little fun fact thing is, so there's a sex scene with Joaquin Phoenix and Parker Posey in this movie, and they also have like a pretty graphic sex scene in Irrational Man, directed by Woody Allen, with Joaquin Phoenix and Parker Posey. Also, they have another sex scene in that movie. So it's like their second sex scene almost 10 years later.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix's balls are so fucking
You see like insert shots of like his balls. I don't know if they're prosthetic to kind of.
They must have been prosthetic.
They must have
been huge, dude.
Because they kind of give off the fact that he's never busted.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
If that's like even real, probably not. But like if your balls get bigger if you don't.
I don't think so.
But Ari Aster and the Safdie brothers are two like. Those are the filmmakers that I'm going to like. I look forward to the most out of like the new generation.
So you're like pure auteurs that are like
new auteur
40, 45.
Yeah, like that new wave of auteurs that are coming out. Like I think, Robert Eggers, I like him. I guess the Northman kind of, I wasn't as keen on that compared to The Lighthouse or The Witch. And that's like his first three movies. And then we got Ari Aster's first three. And I know that the Safdie brothers had like other smaller independent ones, but I kind of consider Good Time and Uncut Gems to be like their first like two kind of big like A24 pictures. And I'm just kind of waiting for their third one to come out, since Ari Aster had like his third come out, Robert Eggers. And I kind of like put them all in the same sort of like level, like on the same pedestal maybe, but I do hold Ari Aster kind of above, and with the Safdie brothers above like Robert Eggers.
I obviously love the Safdie brothers. They're up there, but I don't put them in the same genre. I would put like Robert Eggers at top, and then Jordan Peele, and then Ari Aster. Even though I love this movie, I think he's like last for me.
I would agree. I mean, if we're talking about you're just like best new A24 people, I'd probably Safdie Brothers one, because I think Good Time and Uncut Gems are like untouchable for those two. Yeah, I even love their earlier movies, like Heaven Knows What and Daddy Longlegs. I think are amazing movies. I'd go Eggers next. Ari Aster is only because Midsommar I just wasn't huge on, but they're all great. But like Robert Eggers is someone too that I feel like he's going to keep ramping it up till he hasn't had his Beau is Afraid yet, where it's like he hasn't.
Well, his movie flopped.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But it's so fucking good, dude.
The Northman we're talking about. I love it too. It flopped, but I think he doesn't
love it.
A huge movie in him, like the size of Beau is Afraid,
Yeah, but I guess the Northman like probably had a bigger budget than Beau is Afraid.
It did have a big budget. It wasn't A24.
It was big. And yeah, that was more of like, supposed to be more marketable than his other two movies, because it's like a big Viking epic, but it's more, more artsy.
But definitely like Ari Aster, like I'm definitely still on that wave. Like, I think this definitely hit for me, and Beau was Afraid definitely, I fuck with it for sure. I fuck with all of his movies. They're all great.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it again probably once it comes out. I'll probably buy it or something like that.
Did you see it in IMAX?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, it was great in IMAX.
It was good, dude. Like I went into it with so many mixed reviews in my mind. Like people that saw it, they were like, "Dude, I was just trying to find anything to distract myself in that movie." And then people were like, "I love this movie," and like, yeah, I like went in with just like not knowing what to expect and loved it. I loved it, dude.
Yeah, this is not a movie I can show to like my family that I think they would like. I do want to rewatch it. It's just kind of like a little bit tough right now because the runtime is like 3 hours. Like I had to wait 3 hours to see this movie again.
It's a commitment.
Tough. Yeah. You were talking about Babylon too before. Like that's another movie that had just very mixed reviews at the initial release, but I ended up loving that movie.
Oh yeah, I think that's gonna be a cult classic, dude.
I hope so, yeah, because like it bombed really bad, and like the people that love it, like myself, I think it's amazing.
No, it's amazing too. Yeah, I'm a Damien Chazelle like fan for life.
Yeah.
No, my family, like I saw it on Christmas with my family, and they actually all liked it. And even before they were like my brother was being hella annoying. He's like, "Oh, dude, it's like my stepdad was like, oh, it's 3 hours," and my brother's like, "Oh, like 55% Metacritic, like all this bullshit." Like, watch it. I'm like, dude, like it's Christmas with the family. We're gonna watch it, and it was actually like they actually really did enjoy it. It was
that's good.
3 hours. You know?
Yeah.
It's just that thing, like you take a huge swing like that, and like if it doesn't make money, you're kind of screwed. But like it's Damien Chazelle.
It's Damien Chazelle. He's not necessarily in director's.
He's not in director's jail because he's made so many hit movies.
Yeah.
You know, even before this.
And he does commercials and stuff. Like he'll just do a smaller picture or something.
What do you think about Ari Aster in this context?
Oh, I think he's not in movie jail at all, dude.
What's the budget? Like, what's the? Has it made money back yet? Like,
I don't think so. But the budget,
$2 million.
It's the biggest A24 budget ever.
It's not good.
No, yeah, it cost $35 million. But it's almost like
he's gonna keep making movies.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
This movie was bound to not be as big of a hit as the previous two.
It's just not necessarily marketable. The only thing that's marketable about it is that people say it's like crazy and you don't know what the fuck it is. But I'm not going to show this to my dad. I'm not going to show it to my brother. I'm not going to show it to my mom.
I wouldn't recommend it to any of my family.
Yeah, Beau was Afraid. Ari Aster. Any more things to say about it? I mean, there's so much you can talk about with it. It's just kind of like you can pick apart like different scenes. But
shout out to Bill Hader who.
That was funny.
He had a funny cat. He called it.
Yeah.
I love that scene, dude. Where
it's so funny.
He's like, "Try calling me back."
Yeah. That scene was.
He's like, "I'm so sorry."
Hysterical. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, there's so many like funny moments. Like my whole theater was like cracking up the whole time.
Too.
Yeah, it was like awesome.
Yeah. People were laughing, and it actually was funny. It wasn't just like some Knives Out bullshit where everyone's laughing at the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah, it wasn't like some fucking like Rain Johnson fucking ass bullshit.
Wow. Ryan Johnson.
Oh, Ryan Johnson. Oh. Yeah.
What was your favorite bit in Beau was Afraid? Like, what made you laugh the most? For me, it was
when everyone starts walking into his apartment
building, and then
he's trying to pay, and the guy's like, "What are you like?" Dude, that shit's anxiety.
So good. I think it was when he ran on the street for me and got hit by the bus.
Dude,
like everything leading up to that was so funny.
Yeah, dude. For me, it was like the start of that where the guy was like above him in the bathtub.
Yeah,
he was just like,
oh yeah,
he was like, no.
Yeah,
no. Like sweating.
Like that was like I was sweating because like he's like above him and it was like a minute long of them staring at each other.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and he's like slowly like slipping.
Yeah,
like what the fuck is that? Like it's just so random, but you don't even need to like ask questions about a movie like this. Why things are happening? It's all just so absurd.
Yeah.
It is like a nightmare. It definitely is. I know it's like kind of stereotypical to say like shit like that, but like it literally is a nightmare.
No, it literally is. That's the conceit of the movie. Is like it's your worst anxiety trip ever. Like if you take too much NyQuil before you go to sleep or something, you can have a dream like Beau is Afraid.